Hello, welcome to the Math Bunker. This is Dr. Hein. Today's lesson will cover naming a pair of angles and telling whether these angles are corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior, consecutive interior, vertical, or adjacent. Okay. Now let me start by drawing two lines. These two lines extend forever because there are infinity marks on the end points of the lines, and they're the same slope. Both of them have a zero slope, so these lines will never touch. When this takes place, we have what's called parallel lines. Now, if we take another line and we intersect the two parallel lines, like so, we call this intersecting line a transversal. When we do this, we create several angles. If I read from left to right up to the top left, well, we can call that angle 1. And then to its immediate right, we can call it angle 2. Then we have angle 3, angle 4, angle 5, and angle 6. Angle 7, and finally angle 8. Okay, now the first pair of angles that we're going to identify is a corresponding angle. Okay, corresponding angle. Let's start with corresponding. A corresponding angle. Let's say this angle. Let's call it angle X. It corresponds with angle Y. So if we was to take angle X and slide it down, it would actually fit perfectly on Y because these angles have the same measure. So angle X and angle Y are corresponding. I think about it as climbing a ladder. If I was to lean a ladder against a tree or a house, and I'll take one step, then I take the alternate step, I would have corresponding angles. Okay, so we'll try to remember that. Now, as well as angle X and angle Y corresponding, let's call this angle A. Angle A, it corresponds with angle B. Okay, now the bottoms also correspond. Okay, let's call this angle, we'll just say Z. We'll say angle Z corresponds with angle Q. And I'm just going to highlight this in yellow. Here's angle Q. If I was to take angle Q and slide it down, it would correspond with angle Z. Now let's call the last set angle H and angle J. Angle H, if I was to slide it down, it would fit on J. It would have the same measure. Okay, so let's say that angle H was, we'll say 98 degrees. We'll just say it was 98 degrees. If J is 98 degrees, so will H. H will also be 98 degrees because they have the same measure. Okay, so let me clean this up and go over the next pair of angles. The next pair of angles that I'm going to cover is alternate interior. Let's first look at the word interior. Okay, looking at the two parallel lines, if you're inside these two parallel lines, that's called the interior. If you're on the outside, that's called the exterior. But right now we're just dealing with the interior. Okay, so two angles that are alternate interior angles have to be on the inside. Now we get the word alternate because it alternates on opposite sides of the transversal. So in other words, if angle X, its alternate interior angle would be angle Y. Again, to be interior, it's inside the two parallel lines, and it's on the opposite sides. Okay, and then we also have, we'll call this angle A. Angle A's alternate interior would be angle B. That's alternate interior angles, okay? Now, it's very similar to what's called alternate exterior angle. Remember, the exterior is on the outside of the parallel lines. An alternate exterior angle, we'll say that angle X, this could be angle X, and notice it's on the outside of the parallel lines. Its alternate exterior would be angle Y. It would be located over here. And the same is true if angle A, where's its alternate exterior? Well, angle B would be at the lower left. And that's alternate exterior angles, okay? The next angle we're going to cover is consecutive interior angles, okay? Consecutive interior angles. Let me clean this up again. Consecutive interior. Well, again, there's that word interior once again, so it has to be in the parallel lines. Consecutive interior means it's on the inside and they're on the same side as the transversal line. So therefore, angle X, its consecutive interior would be angle Y. Okay, now, but notice one thing, angle X, angle Y are consecutive interiors, and we're going to find out later that they don't have the same measure, okay? Now, one thing is common, if you look for either the letter C, if you can make a letter C or a horseshoe, it's probably consecutive if they are on the inside and on the same side as the transversal. Now, also, angle A, its consecutive interior would be angle B. And that's consecutive interior angles, okay? Our next angle that we're going to cover would be vertical angles. All right, we'll do vertical angles. We'll use green to use vertical angles, okay? Let's start with this, angle X, okay? If this is angle X, and this is the shape of the angle, if I was to take this angle and flip it over, it would land and use the vertex, the point as the pivot point, it would land here. And therefore, this will be angle Y. And we say that angle X is vertical to angle Y. And again, they both will have the same measure. If angle X was 99 degrees, we'll say, how many degrees is angle Y? It's also 99 degrees. Okay. Those are vertical angles. Okay. So that would also mean, we'll call this angle at the bottom, we'll call it angle A. Angle A. What is its vertical angle? Angle B. If we were to look at this as a question and asked to name the pair of angles A and B, we would call it vertical. Okay. And we can do a couple more. We'll say that angle J, pick another color. We'll call this angle J. Its vertical angle and angle that would have the same measure would be angle H. And one up at the top, we'll call this angle Z. I might want to say that angle Z, its vertical could be angle W. And those are called vertical angles, okay? The last one that I'm going to cover is the adjacent angle. Here's how adjacent angles works. Adjacent angle. I'll say that this angle is my house. We'll say that this is my house. I live in a duplex. Okay. What a duplex is two houses that are connected, separated by a wall. You share one wall and you share one corner. So if this is angle X, to be adjacent angle, I'll have to share the same wall with angle Y, and we share the same vertex or corner. The vertex that I'm talking about is located here. We share the same corner, we share the same wall, we are adjacent angles. And there are a lot of adjacent angles in this drawing. So let's find some more, okay? Uh, Angle X, we'll move it to the bottom. Its adjacent angle would be angle Y, okay? And we can also say that, let's move X down some more. Angle X, its adjacent angle, angle Y. And then, not the last one, angle X, adjacent angle, angle Y. Let me just show you another one. Let's say this is angle X. It's also adjacent here. This could be angle Y. So if we looked at this and was asked to name the angle, what kind of angles are the pair of angles X and Y in the drawing? We would say adjacent because we share the same wall, we share the same vertex. And so up at the top, I could say angle A. It's also adjacent to angle B. I could say angle C. Angle C is adjacent to angle D, and so forth. I can do all of them. Angle W is adjacent to, I'm just going to say angle R. Okay? And those are adjacent angles. And that is how to name pairs of angles when given two parallel lines and a transversal. Again, thank you very much for joining me for Math in the Bunker. It's been my pleasure to be your instructor. Good luck on all your assignments. You're going to do great.